Hey guys, Sebastian here from MobiFlight. Welcome to this tutorial. I might look a little tired, and that is because it's only 2 days until the FS weekend in Lelystad. So I had some longer nights and I was preparing some stuff, and I was also preparing the latest and greatest release. 9.6 is now released on the website, and I'm making this release review video just for you guys so that you are up to date and know what has changed, what has improved, and to just know that it definitely makes sense to update. So let's give it a go here with this video and review everything that has changed. I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you to everyone who decided to become either a sponsor on GitHub and is backing the MobiFlight project with a monthly recurring donation, or those who have decided to use the PayPal option to donate to the project. Thank you also to the entire moderator team for their fantastic job on the community channels like our Discord server, GitHub, but obviously also our website forums. And thank you to everyone else who is actively participating in the community and sharing their knowledge about how to build home cockpits using MobiFlight and all these cool tools that are available to us. All right, I am at the MobiFlight project website, and if you have never ever downloaded MobiFlight before, or if you want to do a fresh install, go to this page here, to the download page. You will find the installer here, and then below you will also see the different release notes with 9.6. I now started to make life a little bit easier for me. I will only copy the features, the new features over, and publish them here. For a complete set of release notes, you can always navigate to GitHub, to our repository, and there you will find all the details about all the changes that come with a particular release. So in this case, 9.6, you see there's a really huge long list of new features, improvement, bug fixes, and other changes that have made it into the release. And also here down there is the call out for all those who are new contributors. Thank you so much for taking your time and providing also a fix or pull request to MobiFlight. So we are going to take a look at this one here, at the board reset function and handling of ambiguous boards, because many of you guys are in some form impacted by this, because many of you use a Arduino that is based on the CH340, and one of the problems in the past was that we could not really tell whether it's a Mega or Uno or a Nano. So now we just ask Q. So here it says Arduino boards cannot be auto flash because the board types are ambiguous. And now you have this cool menu to choose from and tell MobiFlight, I know that the Uno is connected to my board. Let's see this. Sorry, a Uno is connected to my PC. Let's see this in action. So for every one of you guys who have already used MobiFlight before and have old firmware installed on your Arduinos, you will see something like this on first startup. This is also a new enhancement that we are displaying the release notes directly from GitHub. Actually, super convenient. On first time start after the update. Then, as always, there is this dialog that reminds you of installing the WASM module. This time in 9.6, if you're upgrading from 9.5, there was no new MobiFlight WASM module version. What you can see here, it's also asking, please participate. That's so cool to receive feedback from the community, and it doesn't cost you any effort. So here's also one of the new features. The timeout for these dialogues is a little bit longer. Some MobiFlights have an old board. Let's update them. Okay, and now we do not have any problems with updating because I have a Uno and a Mega installed or connected to my PC, and since they already had the MobiFlight firmware, they were also updated with the correct firmware version. But I will still show you what this new feature is about. So if you go, first of all, we have here this option to reset a board completely. This is very, very useful in case that something with your configuration might have kind of produced a hiccup in the MobiFlight firmware, or you simply for some reason want to use your Arduino board for something else than MobiFlight temporarily or so. You can click on reset board, and now a stock firmware is uploaded, which means that's the blink sketch, and also the EEPROM is going to be cleared one time, so that all your MobiFlight configuration is not stored on the board anymore. But now I can also illustrate the other improvement. That means I can go here. Let me close this out. I can now also say update firmware, and since this Uno has a CH340 chip on it, MobiFlight cannot tell on its own what type of board it is. So if I were to upload the Mega 2560 firmware, then I would receive an error message. But if I try the Arduino Uno, which I know is the right board, because I know it's a Uno, it's connected to my PC, then I can select it from here, and after a couple of seconds, the firmware is going to be uploaded successfully. So this is a really cool and useful feature for any one of you guys who is connecting a board for the first time that has a CH340, or for example one of the FTDI chips, so where MobiFlight cannot automatically deduce from the VidPID, from the vendor ID and the product ID, what kind of board it is. So this is pretty awesome. Let's take a look at the other stuff. So I'm gonna pull up the release notes again. Oh, this is actually something that is also now here available as a link, release notes. You can click here and it will always take us to the release notes. So we're looking at the features first. So we started with the last feature, okay, but it kind of was making sense because this happens during startup. I would also like to then continue with the second last one. I really like this one. It's super cool. Integrated support for Honeycomb Bravo Lights for all of you guys who are Honeycomb users and have this wonderful throttle. If you you're now able to actually control the lights for Honeycomb Bravo. So let's just illustrate this real quick, and I will make a longer tutorial. But basically, you have now the option to go not with the inputs. We already know that if I select the throttle quadrant, I can assign different actions to the buttons of my throttle. But now what we can also do, we can actually use it in the output configuration. And that is super cool, because you can here on display, you can just select the throttle, and as all the lights that are on your throttle, they can be used as if they were LEDs. So you can just, here we also have nicely named labels for every individual light. So for example, the AP mode, heading, and let me quickly take a video with my phone at the same time. So here's the Bravo, and now here's the Bravo, and now when I do go and do test like this, you can see that the heading button comes on. Let's select something different. Alt. It's the Alt button. Cool. And for example, the gear, just to have a prominent light. There you go. Isn't that cool? Very easy, super convenient. Follows the MobiFlight logic, the Bravo throttle can now expose its lights as LEDs. And yeah, hopefully this also build a feature that I can build on for other devices that are for other USB devices. So we have laid the foundation. That's pretty amazing and cool. Alrighty, then what else? Yeah, add preset filter for X-Plane. So this is 921. Also, you can see here's all the information available on the pull request itself. Well, this is the feature that I had promised in my last release review video, where we took a sneak preview, and you see this is currently the Microsoft 2020 Sim Connect dialog. And if I switch over to X-Plane, you can see that it's basically the same. We have 4,700 presets that come from X-Plane. Those are all built-in generic data refs for the outputs, and a lot of stuff, maybe not everything makes sense, but it was the starting point, the automatic import of all the data refs that are available. So similar and exact same behavior to Sim Connect. And also, if you wanted to add your own preset code, then you can do it by like change preset, show the preset code, and then you have this extra form field. The same is also possible now for the input configurations. So when you switch over to X-Plane, this dialog loads, you see it's basically really the same, and the list is very long. Like Microsoft has 8,000 and X-Plane has 5,000 presets, so it's kind of loading a little bit. I probably still have to improve this, but for now it's super cool that we can find all of our presets from these drop-down lists, and it makes it more convenient and easier for everyone to configure their stuff for X-Plane. And the last new feature is actually, well, I put it in the new feature list, and it's not really a feature that we can really use at the moment, but it's a very important step for the future. So I introduced a big change to the way we are dealing with our transformations, the comparison, and the interpolation. So I have this idea of introducing modifiers in general that allow us to manipulate any of the values that we read, and modifiers should not be like a static list as we have it right now, where first we transform, then we compare, and then we do interpolation, maybe like if they're activated. But modifiers is going to be a list of modifiers that allow you to transform your value, and one of the and the order can also be changed later. So one of the modifiers that is already built in, that I also used for the proof of this concept, is the blink modifier, and it's not available on the UI. Okay, let's save this, and I'll call this release 9.6. And this is my configuration. Then it should show in quick access here, and then I can open this, and you can see that there is now, instead of, like, if you compare this to an older configuration, it will not have modifiers, but it will have transformation comparison as nodes here, one level higher, and they have now all been transferred into the modifiers section. So what I can do, for example, I can introduce blink already, even though that's not possible through the UI yet. But I can make any of my values blink by an on-off sequence, 200 milliseconds on, 200 milliseconds off, 400 milliseconds on, whatever I put here. Let's have it blink regularly, 200, and the blink value is going to be empty. So let's save this and reload this configuration. So the honeycomb is still, the output configuration is all looking the same. Nothing new, but let's switch over to the MobiFlight variable and read my var. And let's say, for example, this is a 1. And now if we run, we can actually see that it has input string was not in correct format. Okay, let's see why that is. Okay, then let's use the blink value as 0. That has been probably the issue. Let's see again, sim variable. We are reading MobiFlight variable. Now we say okay, now we run, and now we should see, oh, it's always a 0. Let's set it statically to 1. So now we can see it blinks. Okay. And for example, if we make it 500, and I don't want to emphasize this so much right now, but it's just a very, very interesting change of how we deal with these modifiers, and it will be coming up in the next release where the UI will also allow us to actually modify these guys. You see, now it's blinking more slowly. It is 2 times a second that it's blinking. Okay, so this concludes the list of the new features. Really outstanding is preset filter and the Honeycomb Bravo Lights, and also the cool way of handling our ambiguous board types, and also being able to upload the board or to trigger a board reset. Yeah, so that's really, really cool. From the other improvements, we have some cool things happening here. When, for example, the log messages, if I go here and I turn on log, put it to debug, and for example, now I'm not in run mode. So here is an improvement. It says config Bravo throttle quadrant press, config not executed because MobiFlight is not running. Let me see. Yeah, we have a config, but it's not executed because MobiFlight is not running at the time. If I do this now, it tells me Bravo throttle quadrant executing Honeycomb, and tells me also the name of this configuration. So that's pretty cool. Nice new improvement. Adding link to the release notes. I already showed this. Yeah, you can find your way to the release notes from MobiFlight very easily. That is also super cool. Then the error text label is always reset. That was a problem before here when, for example, if I'm using a SimConnect preset and now I run, I see this little exclamation mark. And for some reason I missed that once now if the flight sim were to come online, this was still staying as no active SimConnect connection, even though we had one, and this now is taken care of properly. We have fixed filter behavior in the preset panel. This is also a nice improvement. I'll stop real quick. And I will also pull this up because I think that there is a short video actually that shows it. Yeah, you can see we can select vendor and make here some filtering, and then we type. And it used to be that once we kind of had only 0 matches, when we did not find any match anymore, then all these filter values got reset. So they still stay, nothing changes. That's pretty nice, more user-friendly. Alrighty, then resetting the error text label, we already had this. Then a little small improvement is that for some reason it was always saying, for very old reasons, it was saying pin on the type. And there was an inconsistency with the MobiFlight modules where you say here add device and it says LED and output. And on the output configurations, it was referenced as pin, but now it also says LED output. So this is making more sense. This is also a very cool improvement. Many of you guys will love it, and especially also because of the observations that we had of our new users. Configurations are now enabled or activated by default. This is a new config. it was, and you can see the checkbox is active by default. So this was simply something that many people would not see, and then they were reaching out to this on Discord asking for support. Why is my configuration not executed? And yeah, it turned out many times that this was because of the checkbox here. Added Ground Studio Jade Mega board. Okay, we have a new board in our list of boards that any of you guys that have this, I think it was a Romanian manufacturer if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it's from a Romanian company. Cool. Thanks for reporting this. That's easy to add. Then we increase the number of supported multiplexer devices. That means we can now not only have 2, but actually 4. So the old number of multiplexers devices was 2 for the Mega, 1 for the Pro Micro, 2 for the Uno, and now it's 4, 3, 3. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Jog, also for this contribution. LCD display placeholders are replaced correctly in all cases. So this is actually really funny. Was a great observation. So there was this problem with when you have an LCD display where you actually have, for example, where you're using placeholders A, AA, and BBB. Yeah, let's do this real quick. LCD config. So you all know that when I go to display and I'll choose it from here, then you can kind of make your, do your layout the way you want, and you can use placeholders. So these can be special characters, can be any character. So AAA and BBB here doesn't mean anything, but as soon as I go to the sim variable, to the config references here, and I, for example, say use this honeycomb as A, then the value will be replaced here in the LCD. The problem though, what Jaime found was that if you were to have A, B, C, D and 1, 2, 3, 4 as values from your placeholders, so I would actually have to do new config, and I could statically set this now to A, B, C, D. So you see, the problem is that the value itself contains one of the placeholders. Yeah. So if I go here and I add another reference, new config, and I say this should be A and this should be B. Now the problem would be that when A is replaced, then it will contain A and the B, sorry, and then B got replaced. So there was this problem, which now is working correctly. I cannot demonstrate it so easily, but basically it is working now that all placeholders are replaced line by line independently from each other, and it makes sure that there cannot be a cross-reference or a reference by accident. Then we have the GitHub release notes that we already saw that are on the welcome dialog. And yeah, like also a little small change in the context of the firmware upload, firmware update feature or improvement is that I realized that the update button was never here on the main toolbar. So you have it here, update firmware, and you also have it down here, just in case. I thought that would make sense. It's a little bit more consistent. So this one also, make tabs more prominent, is super cool, because yeah, the higher resolution monitors and also like the different updates from Windows, these two tabs became very easy to overlook. Like it was very easy to miss them here in beneath the toolbar, and some people would say, hey, I don't find my button configurations, everything is empty, and then until they realized that they simply had to tab from one tab to the next. And I hope that the introduction of these icons will make it more obvious that here you can choose from these two options. Then we have show the config name for input actions. We already saw that too. So when you hit a button that is, oh, that is actually funny. Maybe here it's missing, but once we are in run mode, then and the config actually really gets executed, then you will see, hey, cool, I'm pushing a button and something is happening. Oh, this is blinking. That's why it's running away. Cool. So very useful to have this additional information in the log messages. Add FTDI vidpit to the Uno board. Yeah, that also came out that the Uno board, there is a variant that has the same vidpit because they're using the FTDI chip for the USB communication, and there is an ambiguity between the Uno board and the Mega board, and with the other feature that I showed earlier, that we can now select from the drop-down list which one to upload. So this is kind of related to this, and cool that we also were able to add it to our list. And then reorder input actions list. That was one of the last enhancements, so to speak. This is, you will find this here, slight modification of the labels and the order inside of this drop down here. So we're talking about Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, not custom presets anymore. That doesn't matter. Anyone who wants to configure something for the sim, for the 2020 sim, will use this. Anyone who's trying to configure inputs for X-Plane will use this. And then we have some special input actions for MobiFlight. And then here, last but not least, is all the FSU IPC kind of input actions that we know from FSX and P3D, and obviously PMDG users, some of you guys will also use them for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 if there is not a preset available. Good, awesome. So all the other things, I think I will just skip bug fixes. There were some, and it's good to always take care, and we rely on the feedback from you guys. Report bugs through GitHub or on the Discord. There's some other changes that also are not considered bug fixes, sometimes maintenance tasks, sometimes it's something that we're doing to just improve, be behind the scenes, or it has to do with development. So really, really cool. Some things also just came up during the beta when we introduced a new feature, but I still decided to leave this all in here so that you guys actually have an idea of how much effort there is that goes into one of the releases. And thanks also to the new contributors who supported with their contributions. And with this, the release review video concludes. I hope you like it. Again, just want to repeat, feel free to look into the pull request for more information if you're interested. And I hope to see everyone on the Discord channel, and hopefully also Lelystad, because as I already mentioned, this is kind of the Lelystad release right in time for the cool convention for the FS weekend this upcoming weekend, November 5th and 6th in Lelystad, close to Amsterdam. Very excited. Okay, so with this, we are at the end of the video, and I hope you liked it. I'm very excited about the upcoming weekend in Lelystad. I'm really looking forward to meeting many of you guys there. If you haven't done it yet, make sure that you subscribe to this channel to get notifications whenever I release a new video. And if you have comments, feedback, others, ideas or whatever, then please use the comment section below this video. Stay safe, many happy landings, and enjoy flying with MobiFlight.